Dan Orlovsky was on Afternoon Drive yesterday. And first, credit to Dan, not just taking shots on the internet and taking shots on television or anything like that. Came on, talked to Browns fans, talked to Nick and Jonathan. I'll give him credit for that because it seems to be pretty nuts that you would say, or basically even threaten Browns fans, it seems that, yeah, you go ahead, you fire Kevin Stefanski and see what happens. Like, it was like, whoa. Takes a lot of guts to say something like that after just getting hammered again. Again, you have 4 of your 7 losses are by blowout. It's not good.
It doesn't really happen very often in the NFL.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. Dan Orlovsky gave his defense of Kevin Stefanski.
When he gets competent quarterback play, he wins a lot of games. And I understand that there's been losses, but, the year that he had Baker Field and Baker was healthy, they won 11 games. They won a playoff game. In a year where he had to go through 5 quarterbacks, but, Joe Flacco, certainly on the back end of his career, was still competent quarterback and playing at a competent level. They won 11 games. Those other years when it's been this revolving door of guys, none of those other guys have gone on to play good football outside of Joe this year. And everyone that wants to bring that argument to me, they got different animals in Cincinnati on the perimeter. My challenge to anybody would be this. He's a 2-time coach of the year. He's dealt with a lot of noise. He's never wavered or never buckled. And I would ask you, outside of those 2 years that he's had competent quarterback play and won 11 games, what coach does anybody think would do a better job?
Real quick, before I play the second clip of him, I sat there listening to that interview in my office, and I thought, how many coaches? You'd have a list a mile long of coaches standing there going, yeah, if I would have had competent quarterback play, I'd still be employed. Yeah, if I had competent quarterback play, I'd still be employed. To me, that's not really an excuse. I mean, it's just the way the NFL works. So that's how I took that real quick before we played the other clip. Here's him saying that maybe he would understand if things ran their course.
So I think Kevin Stefanski's a really good coach. Obviously, Cleveland is in a situation where they're going to need to get a quarterback. I have no idea what the contract situation is with Deshaun and what the dead cap space all is and how does that hinder. I think he's a really good coach. That doesn't mean that he has to stay in Cleveland. I think you need a type of quarterback that fits with his scheme the best, no question. And so if that's somebody in the draft that, like if Ty Simpson from Alabama is available and Cleveland wants to take him, he's the perfect stylistic quarterback for Kevin. So I would say keep him. But I also understand where you could be a good coach and it's kind of run its course in a certain location. And so I can understand that being a reality as well.
That whole interview, 923thefan.com, if you want to go back, or it's still available on the free Odyssey app for up to 24 hours.
I was conflicted hearing most of that.
Okay,
and I think,
tell me why, because I came away with one prevailing thought.
Okay, good, because it's been where I've been on Kevin. I've been totally conflicted. Like, I certainly don't think he's a bad coach, and I think people have gotten carried away. I do think the circumstances now surrounding this football team, if you were to ask anybody outside of Cleveland, and we're the closest to it, so we're going to hyper-analyze it on such an acute level, but if you were outside of Cleveland, you'd be saying, it's the Browns, the Watson thing didn't work out, and because it didn't work out, they were going to feel the pain, and these 2 years, they're feeling the pain. They're not really trying to win. Okay. That's what the prevailing wisdom is going to be, and that's why if he interviews elsewhere, that's what the sports talk show hosts in those cities are going to be talking about. Like, yeah, but Kevin was terrible those 2 years. They'll be like, did you see who his quarterbacks were? Did you see the roster?
They will. But I think I'd say that for a lot of coaches. My thought of this, my prevailing thought of all of this, I agree with you. I don't think that Kevin has been exposed for 6 years of terrible work. I think there's been some good work in there. I think that he's done just about what a lot of good football coaches would do. And I would say that it's probably run its course by now. I mean, you're getting to a point with the fans where they can't take it anymore. I don't know if he can take it anymore. I think that he is saying the same thing to get through these press conferences. That tells me that I think something's going on in there that he don't like. And he's just not going to throw people under the bus. At least not yet.
Yeah, that's not who he is.
It's not him.
He's not somebody who is going to start sabotaging or you know what, honestly, Kenny, and
read these tea leaves. I don't hear Mike Tomlin speaks his mind, but I don't hear him taking shots by name to a lot of people a lot of times. I don't hear that.
The way he went after Andrew Berry.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to tell you, like, I'm frustrated with these press conferences, and to the point where I don't even want to play them anymore for our listeners. Like the cut-ups, like, what's the point? And it is very frustrating. I called it unprofessional to start out the week. But I do think a part of what he's probably doing is, I think he knows, like, the end is near. There's going to be life after the Cleveland Browns. He doesn't need to start being petty with people in the front office. He's made a lot of money here. He's been here 6 years. I think he does like Andrew Berry. I think he does like everybody involved. but on a professional level, like he doesn't strike me as the guy who, as the ship is going down, he's going to start throwing other people off the way that Hugh Jackson would.
Yeah.
He's just not that guy.
I don't think he's going to sue him later on and accuse him of taking him out. I don't think that's going to happen.
Right, so I think this is what it could be until the day he's let go, if he is let go.
Well, I keep going back to what Dan Orlovsky said and then what we don't hear in the press conferences, to the point that it's reached its pinnacle of frustration with Browns fans. The same, we got to be better, we got to coach better, we got to do this better. Like Owen started putting together the things. I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to get to this after the break. You better not make him the scapegoat. Because I know what I thought last week. It's getting to me after hearing that interview, even after hearing Ross Tucker flip-flop yesterday, or just naturally come to a different conclusion. It's got to be all or nothing. It is a deposition. See, I got mad on Monday, but there's definitely things he just doesn't want to tell you. He doesn't want to tell you because I think that there's things that he believes, Kevin, there are things that he believes, I think, that have happened that are unfair. And I think that the Joe Flacco trade was one. Guys, we were all shocked. How many people to a man thought that Bailey Zappi was going to be the backup? And they don't say nothing. Now, I'm not trying to make this a Shador conversation. I got a Shador conversation for another time. But we all thought that Bailey Zappi was going to be the backup. We had heard nothing, but, he's just not ready, And all of a sudden, Shador Sanders is the backup. And so he's one play away. And somebody brought this up, and I had to say, and I'm hopefully I tweeted him back yesterday because I was walking in through the parking lot yesterday, where someone goes, if he's so far behind, why is he one injury away from playing? I go, yeah, I know. I think that's what he's kind of wondering himself. He's kind of wondering the same thing. And this is coming from me, pro Shador guy. And I'm going, you're not. My fear about Shador, real quick, is that I think that because I think there's folks who are just going, hey, we're going to evaluate and he's going to play. I don't think they're putting him in a position to succeed. And I think that could end up getting blamed on Kevin and even the coaching staff. And I've been hard on all of them. But I think that could end up getting blamed on Kevin and the coaching staff, where I'm going, maybe it should be blamed on the guys in the suits. And this is where I said to you last week, I could see a scenario, after Paul DePodesta left, I could see a scenario where Andrew gets bumped up to team president. But I don't want to turn Kevin into some scapegoat. Well, because if you're doing this with quarterbacks now, you've not learned your lesson from Baker Mayfield, and you will do this again with, as Dan said, Ty Simpson or God knows who.
Well, not only that, now we're to the point where Stefanski, and he can deserve a bunch of the blame too, he's going to get blamed no matter what. If Shador Sanders comes in and looks terrible, it's going to be like this was sabotaged from moment one. Mm-hmm. You weren't giving him a chance. You weren't giving him enough reps, so he couldn't develop. So what was the point of all this? And if he looks great, it's going to be, oh my God, you guys can't evaluate quarterbacks at all. You got rid of Joe Flacco, and he looks amazing in Cincinnati, and you put off Shador Sanders, and now he comes in and plays great immediately, and you guys threw away the season because you didn't identify that, and you played Dylan Gabriel instead. He's to the point where there's no win now. There's no. He's been put in the corner, and the scapegoat thing, that's going to happen no matter what now. Because, fans, every year you don't go to the playoffs and win playoff games, fans lose their love of a head coach, even if he was doing things that were pretty incredible to start out. Every year that doesn't happen, more people jump off that bandwagon of a head coach, and it's hard for them to get back in.
And you're right. And guys, there is a time where it's just natural, like, the fans aren't going to have you anymore. Do you even want this situation anymore? The grass can be greener with another organization. Maybe it's time we split. Because I could look back on it, like if they improve their situation and they go, hey, we're going to move on from Kevin, and they go to one of my guys on the list, and it's just my personal thoughts. I mean, there's a million other thoughts, right? It's not like that's going to fix it, but let's go with this. Say they pick one of the guys on my list that's in the envelope. And that guy goes on and they're successful. Say they get it right. I'm like, hey, and Kevin even goes on and becomes successful. It's like, hey, there was a break here. That's the way it had to go. But what my issue is becoming is that I realize this as I'm hearing Dan Orlovsky talk yesterday on that interview with Nick and Jonathan, is that all this becomes, why does everything become an investigation? It's always an investigation to see where it went wrong. And I'm like going, damn it, Dan Orlovsky has a point. Because, and he didn't say scapegoat, he didn't say don't turn Kevin into scapegoat. I'm saying it now. Because he's saying, no, it could run its course with the Browns. I go, I could see Kevin Stefanski with somebody else, And we are still having these same conversations about this situation because what did I just say about the quarterback? You haven't learned your lessons. You're just putting guys ahead, putting them through before they're ready to go because we have to evaluate something that we might not even need to evaluate. You're not evaluating anybody if you don't put them in a position to succeed. So is Dylan Gabriel playing already before he was ready to play? I know what Joe looked like. I know what I said. I'm a radio guy. I don't know any better. They're supposed to know better, right? Right. So they know what they did, and I could look at it going, man, 3 years, we could be sitting there as we've torpedoed another rookie quarterback because we've done this, that, and the other, thinking that we know everything that we're doing. And it's not even about Kevin going on and having success. Kevin could go out and be 9-8, 10-7, whatever it is. He doesn't even have to be that successful. But we're looking at going, we made a scapegoat out of this guy. We made these same mistakes. We've ruined another young quarterback's career because we don't know how to evaluate. We think we need to evaluate. We need to see it. If they're not ready, we're not going to see anything good. So we're already self-fulfilling the prophecy that these guys are going to be bad, man. And so that's what I'm sick of. I'm sick of everything becoming an investigation about where it went wrong. And so if it's just Kevin, or if moves have to be made at the end of the year, it can't be just Kevin. It can't be just Kevin. If you're going to move on, you move on. And it's going to be a tough process, and I'm going to be up at a lot of nights. It's the way it goes. Because I'll tell you what, I'll be up even more at night if they just scapegoat Kevin. Scapegoat's a tough word. If they just let go of Kevin. Because then they got to prove themselves, and now there's no DiPodesta for me to sit there and blame as some sort of Wizard of Oz boogeyman. Now it's on you.
And by the way, they've had 6 years.
And it sounds
they've
so
had
much
the same amount of time.
And when I say it sounds so much like that, because remember, at one point it was just Odell. Excuse me. At one point it was just Hugh. At one point it was just Sashi. At one point it was just Odell. At one point it was just Baker. At one point it was just Freddie.
So think about
this. We just keep going from different people to blame.
Okay, so as well chronicled, what was the order of operations when putting together this entire brain trust? It was they hired Kevin first, right?
Yeah.
Then they went and got Andrew Berry, and they knew Andrew Berry or whatever. But that was the order. If after 6 years and now DiPodesta is gone, it is the coach is gone, but Andrew Berry gets either promoted or keeps his gig. What happened over the course of 6 years? How did Andrew Berry gain more trust with the disastrous drafts he had? And, there was some good, some bad in terms of player acquisition, but bringing 4 quarterbacks. I'm
not going to answer a question. I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to give a reason. I don't know.
This year, not having your offensive line where there's going to be humongous turnover, not having a plan for your offensive line, to the point where you had all those picks last year and you drafted 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs, but you didn't draft any offensive line. Like, how is it that he gets to stay, he saved his job and ends up winning whatever power struggle might have been going on behind the scenes?
What I wish I could tell you, I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not going to try to give you an answer to it. I'm not going to give you some theory that I have to try to back up if I don't mean it later on. When the issue is becoming here is that, and I don't like it either, where I spend a Monday getting mad at Kevin, and then as the week goes on, it becomes Kevin's a victim. I'm not painting Kevin out to be a victim. He's not. Okay, he's the head coach of this football team. I wish that a guy who's had 6 years experience and is the 2-time coach of the year, the 2-time coach of the year should get more power. Somehow he's had that taken away from him. And I don't even know how much power he had to begin with. And the ideas that have come have usually been ideas that are devoid of heart, that don't have the proper mentality to go into a locker room to make those actual real heart and soul evaluations. I think you got the math right, but you do need to put together a team. And I don't think that they've put together a team. And I think that Tommy Rees is showing you, and I think a lot of people are showing you, there's a lot of things that you just can't do with this football team because the offensive line is getting too old. The backups behind them are not too good. You have a wide receiver core that is one of the absolute worst in the NFL, to the point that we are sitting there celebrating on TV news locally, all 4 networks, including my own, the triumphant return of Cedric Tillman. That's how bad the wide receiver room is. Well, who built that? So if you're going to do it, it should be everybody. Because I have a terrible, terrible feeling. I'm 39 right now. I could be sitting here with you at 42 years old going, oh my God, we're doing it again. and we're sitting here jumping from one person to blame to another person to blame. All it is finding one singular person. That's the problem. No, he's the problem. Instead of building, finding ways to ask for more time instead of building, finding ways to go, well, we should really be losing here. We shouldn't be winning, instead of trying to build. And the problem, and I even say that knowing wholeheartedly that they've taken a couple of guys in this year's draft that I really like. Yeah. I think Carson Schlesinger, let me say this, for him to go out there after that ankle injury and to go play his ass off against the Jets and then to take a shoulder injury, that's the type of guy you need. A guy who actually has talent, and a guy that I think that as he grows into his position and in his role with the football team will hopefully police that locker room and hold people accountable. That's the type of people you need, not just talent. Guys that can actually carry that. I thought J.O.K. could be that guy. Unfortunately, he got hurt, and I don't know if we're ever going to see him again, sad to say. You need more guys like that. So there's been a sprinkle there, but have you taken enough over 6 years? I don't think you have. To the point where, hey, we talk about Deshaun Watson and people go, oh, gosh. I saw the article about bringing back you-know-who after a year off of football. Do I need to say his name? Should I say his name for everybody?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jet Wills. I saw that article over the weekend.
What's he doing this year?
Hate to spoil your breakfast, everybody. Taking a year off to recover. But he might be the best option they have because his draft pick wasn't that good to begin with, and the people you tried to replace him with were really, really bad. 216-474-0092. Matt in Westlake, you're first up on the Fan. Hello, Matt. Got to go quick. Go ahead.
Good morning, Jess. You're overcomplicating this. Get rid of Barrett, get rid of Stefanski, and look at Vrabel, what he's done in a short time in New England. Go Browns.
Well, Matt, am I overcomplicating it, or are the Browns overcomplicating it?
Well, you, sir, are correct. It would be our friends in Berea.
There you go, Matt. Thank you very much for the call. I mean, I just said if you're going to make a move, it's got to be all of them. It's got to be all of them. Because it's gotten to a point where I'm tired of finding different guys to paint as the bad guy. The guy I said before, he's going to Denver. He's going to Colorado. I had a problem with him because he didn't come out and face the media when things were bad. I had a problem with him because he didn't have boots on the ground. I had a lot of problems with him. Okay? But he can only do so much. Now he's gone. Who else do I have to blame? Because Andrew's here. Andrew's not speaking to the media. Kevin's here. Kevin has to speak to the media. I can't just keep blaming one guy and turning that guy into the villain. No. It's got to be all of them, or it's got to be none of them.